Baltimore Ravens at the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Ravens are favored by 3.5 at Pittsburgh. Ravens 3-1, Steelers 2-2. Always some great games here between the Ravens and the Steelers. Kenny Pickett had the knee injury at the end of the game. It's supposed to be a bone bruise. Mike Tomlin's always got very pointed remarks. I only saw the quote once. I did not hear the tone whatsoever, but it was kind of like, we'll see how well he manages it. It felt like a test from Tomlin.
Yeah.
Like, how tough are you, Kenny? Are you going to be our quarterback? Let's go. I could be wrong, but
no, it was a very. He has a slightly strange mode of speech in these things. Like it's almost like he deliberately.
It's a riddle speaker. Speaks in riddles,
but not even riddles necessarily. Just like the words are sort of deliberately. Like there's more architecture in the sentence than needs to exist, right? It's like there's a very simple way of saying what you're saying, and yet instead you're going to go with much more complex modes of speech in order to, I don't know, deliberately like misdirect what you're saying as opposed to just, yeah, this is the deal. It's very strange, but he basically said, yeah, it's a bone bruise. He's out there in practice. He understands he needs a live reps, and then it's basically going to come down to pain management and whether he's comfortable enough to go or not. That was effectively a paraphrased version of what he's saying. I don't know if it becomes a bigger thing because he's couching it in these terms, and now we're sort of pointedly putting the emphasis on this on Kenny Pickett as opposed to just this is how this works to everybody. I mean, look, Kenny Pickett's been playing bad. The offense stinks. I don't know that you want to throw him back out there this week if he's not 100%, which he won't be.
Can you make a note for me?
Can I make a note for you?
For next preseason.
No.
Where did most of the preseason hype come from? Where did we get suckered in the most?
Oh, I bought into the Pittsburgh thing.
Steelers?
Yeah.
Giants?
Oh, I didn't buy into that one. I bought into Pittsburgh.
Okay. Pittsburgh, definitely.
Remember, I took all kinds of crap for saying that, hey, yeah, Darren Waller carving up their defense every practice might just say that the defense stinks.
It's true.
People were mad.
I probably got mad at you for not buying into it. You got to buy it. You got to pull it all in.
No, the Pittsburgh one I got suckered into in a huge way. That's my bad one.
Some Kenny Pickett numbers. 53.8 PFF grade ranks 32 out of 36 qualifiers. He's averaged 6.3. Here's a stat for you. 6.3 yards per attempt for Kenny Pickett in 4 games. And he has 2 touchdowns of 70-plus yards. So I know, like, Joe Burrow's averaging 4.8 or whatever yards per attempt. Take out 2 big plays, and Pickett's in that territory. He's got 140 of his 800 yards showed up on 2 passes.
It just one of those was a proper like run after the catch deal. Where it's not a Pickett one. Like
I'm
the other
just saying,
one,
like the raw stats are poor for Pickett, and they include a couple 70-yarders in there. He's got 1 big-time throw, which was one of those 70-yarders. 5 turnover-worthy plays. It's not good.
No.
Across the board here for Pittsburgh.
It's all been
offensive
bad.
Line not blocking well. Broderick Jones is going to be in at left tackle for Dan Moore. He had a bit of a struggle in his first extended time on Sunday. And the Baltimore Ravens defense is playing really well. So to me, it's uncomfortable if you're Pittsburgh. It's like, I need my awesome playmakers to just make plays. And I don't know if they're capable of it. Even George Pickens.
Yeah.
He's not making a spectacular catches this year.
They, I think, are in bigger danger of having that losing season this year than they were last year when it looked like the inevitability that they would finally have that Tomlin losing season, and ultimately he managed to get away with it and scrape a winning record. They're looking like they're in danger of becoming that team that we talk about every year, where in a very tough division, one team is probably going to end up being cast astray because the other ones are great. Cleveland looks like, that defense is phenomenal. If the offense can just hold up its end of the bargain, i.e. with Deshaun Watson rather than DTR, Baltimore looks good. Cincinnati's not doing well, and their thing might cause them problems because Burrow's injury isn't necessarily going away. But I think Pittsburgh could easily be cast adrift in this division, given how badly they've looked.
I still want to take the other side of that and say, I don't think we were completely wrong to think that the Steelers roster is the best that they've had in recent years. Like, both sides of the ball. It should be much better. And I don't want to just keep picking on Matt Canada or anything here, but
it's real. I mean,
but there's just no evidence that he's doing anything to elevate the offense schematically.
And there's plenty of evidence that he's actually hindering it, hampering it. I mean, this is what Mike Tomlin is dealing with now. Now they're like prisoners of their own creation, because as an organization, they don't make knee-jerk reactions and fire people when things are going bad. They like find a way of working through it, right? But if this was any other organization, I think they'd have already made a change. Like somebody else would be calling plays by now, and that's not happening in Pittsburgh because that's not the way they do things. And generally, it's very hard to argue that that's like the wrong approach, right? That's been a very successful organization over any period of time, but like things need to change now.
They're in danger of the same offseason conversation we had about Mac Jones in New England, where there was promise for the rookie quarterback, Mac Jones, Kenny Pickett. Year 2 felt like a throwaway, and for different reasons. The Patriots hired a defensive coordinator to call plays. Pittsburgh kept the same play caller, Matt Canada, without a track record of NFL success. And it's going to feel like, well, we don't know what Kenny Pickett is yet. Got to give him year 3. And then, maybe Pittsburgh makes this big split, bring in like Cliff Kingsbury or something. Oh, this is a guy that'll get him going next year. And we'll feel like year 2's a throwaway. We'll see. I mean, Pittsburgh, it's a long season. The first quarter, I will never write off the Steelers because they were write-offable in recent years.
Write-offable.
And they bounced back to get to their 500 plus, right? And it's the Ravens. They'll be competitive. But I love the way Baltimore's playing defense. Roquan Smith is balling and has been since he became a Baltimore Raven. Kyle Hamilton, one of the best safeties in the league in year 2 here. A lot of good playmakers there. And then the offense, again, with Baltimore, I don't think the offense has been great yet. And that might be encouraging that there's more there once they get a little bit healthier and get used to the new system.
Have you seen that George Pickens is basically over the contested catches this year? Like,
that's crazy. That'll revert back.
Sure, but I think it also highlights like the problem of, when your guy is a contested catch guy, that doesn't stay consistent year to year. You can have literally the best contested catch receiver in the NFL, which I think he probably still is, and you can go on a run where in 4 weeks he doesn't catch any of them. Like, it's just a hard thing to do consistently.
And this is what makes analysis difficult because Pickens looks like a more complete receiver this year.
I think he is.
In the preseason, he was, taking it to the house 50-plus yards a couple times. He looks quicker, faster, and then it's like, okay, now add that to the spectacular catchability, but it's just not there, man. And I mentioned Kenny Pickett, the worst quarterback in the NFL throwing outside the numbers. If we see Mitchell Trubisky, I'll just say this. Trubisky threw the ball fairly well last year. He had some duds in there, too, when he started, but he had some decent play.
They don't get worse if Trubisky's the quarterback.
Not the way Pickett's playing right now. So I think it's a good, close, interesting game either way. I mean, Trubisky was the starting quarterback when they beat the Bengals in Week 1 last year. He had a little bit of bad luck on some very close passes that probably should have been touchdowns last year. I like Baltimore, though. Even normally in these games, I'm like, it'll be a 3-point game. It's in Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. I'll take the Ravens, though.
The Steelers need like a Herculean effort by that defense to have a shot, I think, in this game.
That is one thing I want to mention. Morgan Moses may be out for the season, right? Or out for the season at right tackle. The TJ Watt matchup versus right tackle, always huge. And Baltimore's O-line injuries maybe catch up at some point.
I mean, Patrick McCarry against Myles Garrett last week was a train wreck. Like, that was terrible. So Baltimore definitely has some problems up front. And the Steelers, the one thing that they're bringing to the table is TJ Watt in particular, but Alex Highsmith can do some damage. Like, they have players that can exploit that. It sounds like Joey Porter Jr. is going to get elevated to being a starter. Probably not before time. Like, that'll be an interesting thing to watch.
Do I go Pittsburgh? I really wanted to take Pittsburgh. That's my standard. It's this battle between the Ravens and Steelers. If it's more than 3 points, I'm going to keep it close.
Yeah, I just feel like Baltimore's worth it at this point.
All right. We're both taking Baltimore here.